we want to get to our college football playoff predictions. And so, of course, you've got number 1 Georgia versus number 4 Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. Number 2 Michigan versus number 3 TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. Very shocked, very proud of the college football playoff committee for leaving TCU in, because I definitely thought that wasn't going to happen when B Scott texted me in the Big 12 championship game and said, "You wanted chaos, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to see Alabama and Ohio State get in, both get in." And so that didn't happen, so I'm very happy about that. They're Michigan TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. In both of these instances, it's tough to ignore the last time out for these teams. For Ohio State and Georgia, I mean, they're actually pretty similar statistically in terms of yards per game on offense and defense, but hard to ignore how Michigan dismantled the Buckeyes and how Georgia has just been so dominant all season. I mean, even in some instances where you're like, is LSU going to come back and make this a game in the SEC championship? That's when Georgia really rose to the occasion. I'm taking the Bulldogs there. And then Michigan took care of business against Purdue, and honestly, except for a bad half here and there, has looked good all season, kind of like Georgia. Maybe not to the same extent, but they've looked dominant in the Big Ten this year. And TCU had a huge letdown in the Big 12 title game and didn't look all that great in Jerry World, so give me the Wolverines there. So I got number 1 versus number 2, and for the national championship, I'm actually going to take Michigan here. Maybe wishful thinking on my part, just because I don't want to see another SEC team win. But Georgia, I mean, you look at these two teams. Georgia is 7th on offense in yards per game with 492. Michigan is 27th with 454. They're really similar on defense. Michigan's 3rd in yards allowed per game. Georgia's 9th. So both teams are so close statistically. And I will say this, another fun fact, fun stat for you. We have never seen a repeat champion in the college football playoff as far as like back-to-back years. So obviously we've seen Alabama and Clemson win a bunch, but like we've never had teams win in back-to-back seasons. Alabama was the last repeat champion in college football in 2011 and 2012. And I say outright because there was that year that USC and Michigan shared it in 2003, and then USC won in 2004. But the only team, those two Alabama teams were the only teams to outright win since the BCS came into play in 1998. So. I was shocked too when I saw that, because I was like, wait a minute, I was thinking back on, I was like, okay, Ohio State, Bama and Clemson flip-flopped through 2019, then LSU, Bama again, then Georgia last year. So yes, it has never happened in the college football playoff era, and has only happened once in the BCS era as far as outright champion. So I'm going with Michigan. I want to see the Big Ten get it done. I'm not entirely sure how confident I am in that pick, but I'm going Michigan.
Man, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Ohio State over Georgia. I just feel like Ohio State's going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. They know they screwed up and they needed luck to get in to the playoff. And they got it. So this is their redemption. And typically after we've seen Ohio State drop a game, they come back and they go on a tear. I mean, just think about previous seasons when that's happened. I do wish we would have seen Jackson Smith and Jigba actually come back this year. Could you imagine Jackson Smith and Jigba on one side and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the opposite? Good luck
Yeah.
trying to cover that, because guess what? You got Emeka Uboka in there as well. So yeah, have fun with that. But unfortunately, Jackson Smith and Jigba said he's declaring for the draft and he's not going to play like he did all season. But I just feel like Ohio State's going to play with a chip on their shoulder. And this is kind of reminiscent a little bit of Ohio State in the first college football playoff, if you ask me, where chip on their shoulder, nobody's expecting them to do anything. They had to all have a bunch of certain things fall their way to get in. Same thing. And then I am going to have Michigan over TCU. TCU showed vulnerabilities, and Michigan's going to capitalize on those vulnerabilities. Michigan's defense is the real deal. This Michigan team is good. Blake Corum's not playing, obviously. That does hinder their offense a little bit more, but man, that Michigan defense is for real. Those guys are big. Trust me. I saw them firsthand this year, just a few weeks ago, and they're big. They're good. They're fast. So I have a national championship matchup of Michigan versus Ohio State. And you know what? I'm going Ohio State.
It was like I was feeling it. I was like, I think he's going Ohio State here.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. I think it's one of those things where like once you get to that championship, it's just kind of a coin flip. I mean,
it's like I said, it reminds me so much of the first college football playoff. Nobody expected Ohio State to make any noise, and then they went on and won the whole thing. Now, obviously, there's no Ezekiel Elliott walking through the door anytime soon, and that's a big problem for Ohio State's run game. But
yeah,
you got Marvin Harrison Jr. this time.
I was gonna say you've got plenty of other talented players on that roster, so it'll be interesting to watch. I'm excited to watch the college football playoff this year.